What's up, you guys? It's Canyon with Car Garage. Today I'm going to show you how to do a basic oil change. It's something that's probably posted a million times, but I'm just going to make it very quick and straightforward and show you how to do it. So this is my 2011 Ford Explorer with 232,000 miles on it. So definitely has a lot of miles on it, but I've kept up on the oil changes every 5,000 miles, and it's part of the reason why it's lasted so long. So definitely keeping up on oil changes is probably one of the most important things for your engine. And low oil levels can damage the crap out of your engine. So first things first is safety glasses. I know it seems stupid, but it'll save your butt sometimes. You definitely don't want oil getting in your eyeballs. So trust me, I've had it happen a few times and it's annoying. Wear safety glasses for many reasons. There's dust and crud underneath the car that can fall in your eye and hurt you. So definitely wear those. So first thing we're gonna do is check the oil level beforehand. Most of the time it's a yellow or a bright orange loop or just a knob that you pull out. So basically what you do is you want to take it out, clean it off completely so that it's totally dry, and then put it back in until it clicks all the way down, and then pull it back out. So right now mine is still in the safe zone, but it's probably about 3/4 of a quart low. So just take note of this. This will tell you how much your engine is either leaking or consuming oil, whether that's burning it or it's just dripping out the bottom. If you have nothing on the stick at all, you're in quite a bit of trouble, and you probably should get under there and look for leaks and or figure out who did your oil change last. So we're just under half a quart low, which isn't too bad. We're gonna go ahead and take our oil fill cap off and just set it to the side. This will make it drain faster because there's no negative pressure in the engine as you're draining it. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and jack the car up on both sides. There are jacking points, so you need to be careful with that and pay attention to where your lifting points are so you don't damage anything. So on this car, you can see the pinch weld that runs all the way along here. Right here is the lifting point, so this is where you would put a jack and or a jack stand. I jack it up right here, and then I put the jack stand right here, but just be very careful. This pinch weld is very strong, but it can bend and it can kink, so just be careful with that. This is technically where you would lift from, but this is where I'm gonna put the jack stand because this is the strongest point right here on both sides. All right, our car is jacked up and we have it on both jack stands on both of those points. I like to keep the jack up at least on one side. If you have two jacks, and go ahead and keep it up on both sides just as a safety precaution. Kind of if these ever decided to fail, you would have a backup to at least hold one or both sides up for you, even if it's just the jack. So you can never be too careful when getting under a car and jacking it up. One thing you are really gonna wanna do is this, because just trust me. Put a beanie on while you're doing an oil change. It will save your life. It is so annoying to work under a car with a hat on, trust me. All right, so here's all the basic tools you're gonna need to do an oil change. Right over here we have either just a filter wrench that you can do by hand, or you can actually get filter caps that'll fit the filter just right to whatever size you have. But if you don't know, this is a great way to start. This is adjustable to almost any size of oil filter. So there are also filters that are inside. They're just a paper filter, and you have to unscrew a cap to get it off. In this case, we don't have that, but if you do, it's just a big socket right on the end most of the time. Right over here, just a basic set of sockets with a ratchet. I have right here 10 up to 18. Most of them are gonna fall within there somewhere. So something like this is great to start out with, and will get most of the jobs done. If you're gonna be doing your own oil change a lot, it's definitely good to invest in one of these reusable oil storage tanks. This will hold, I believe, 10 quarts of oil, and you just drain it in here, and then you can dump it out whenever you need to. So that helps a lot. We have a torque wrench right here. Every single oil drain bolt on the bottom of the car has a torque setting that needs to be set correctly. So this will help you get that tight enough to where it'll hold the oil in, but not too tight to where it'll strip it out. And then just a set of gloves. Keep your hands clean if you prefer that. And then we just have an oil pan to catch the oil initially, and then a funnel to pour the oil back in. So here's our oil. This car takes 6 quarts of oil. You can look online to see how many quarts of oil and what filter your car needs. And so we're just using Valvoline full synthetic high mileage. This car takes 5W20 oil, and it will say that on your cap. So if we take a look at our cap, this says SAE 5W20 recommended. So just get whatever oil is recommended for your car. Not all of them say it on the cap. If you can't find the oil weight on your cap, a lot of the times there's a sticker under the hood that looks like this that'll tell you what type of oil it takes. Also, getting yourself one of these little creepers will help you a ton. Instead of having to scoot all the way under and get your clothes dirty, it helps you just roll under there easily, and it makes it a lot more comfortable. So we're gonna go ahead and get our gloves on. And then we're gonna take our oil filter, our torque wrench, our oil filter wrench, the drain pan, and the socket set all down with us. So as we slide under, you're gonna be looking for a big metal pan. Sometimes there can be two. This is the transmission. Sometimes there can be a pan on the transmission and it'll look similar to this one. Pretty much just find the biggest one and try to identify where the engine is. Find the engine side, and then that will be your oil pan. Your oil pan is always on the bottom of the engine. So once you find your oil pan, look for your drain bolt. In my case, the drain bolt is right here, which is facing the back of the car. So we're gonna go ahead and put our drain pan directly under this to where it would spray out. So get your sockets and just go ahead and just put these sockets on until you find which one is right. This is the right one, which is a 15 millimeter. So a 15 millimeter socket fits on there nice and snug, and we'll go ahead and crack that loose. So a lot of the times you can put your hand on it and then take your other hand and hit on the back of your hand, and that'll kind of help almost as an impacting motion to loosen it up. I'll show you what I mean real fast. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put my hand on it like this, and then take my fist and then just hit on the back of my hand to loosen it. Just like that. And that just cracked it loose. Now we'll go ahead and get our drain pan ready. So here's a side view. This is the bolt right here. I'm putting the pan directly under it on the side, so that once it's slowing down, it'll drip directly to the pan. And sometimes it can even drip backwards a little bit. So keep that in mind. But when I do take this out, it's gonna shoot out. I don't know how far. So kind of just estimate where you think it's gonna shoot out to. And trust me, it's a lot easier if you catch the bolt and don't let it fall into the oil, because sometimes this can be very, very hot and you don't want to stick your hands in that. So we're just gonna slowly bring it out until you can feel it almost giving. And then you're just gonna quickly pull the bolt away and let the oil fall. Just like that. So now as this oil slows down, we're gonna pull the pan in more so that it just gets every drop into the pan. All right, this is slowing down a little bit. It's almost full. I would also recommend to just bring a little towel down with you to set your drain plug on so you don't get any oil on the floor. And or if you get oil all over your hands, you can wipe your hands off with that. So definitely bring one of those down with you too. So there's always gonna be a little bit of oil left in your engine, but we're just gonna wait till this turns into a drip and then just put the drain plug back in. All right, so it's drained enough to where this is just about a drip, so we're gonna go ahead and put that drain plug back in. So just put it down hand tight so it won't drip, and then we'll go ahead and torque it. And then very, very carefully move your oil drain pan out of the way. All right, so every drain plug torque is different. Ours is 20 for the 2011 Ford Explorer, and we have our torque wrench set to 20 foot-pounds. So we're gonna go ahead and tighten this down until the torque wrench clicks. Just like that. And then just dry any excess oil off and you should be good to go. So once your drain plug is back in, go ahead and start looking for your oil filter. Mine is right here. It can look like this, or it can look just like a cap that you need to unscrew, and then it's a paper filter. I know Toyotas are that way. They have a metal cap that you need to unscrew, and there's a paper oil filter inside a lot of the times. It can be bright orange, it can be gold like this, it can be white, it can be black. There's a ton of different oil filters, but just look for a circular looking can. So this is our new oil filter. So once you locate your oil filter, see if you can do it by hand. Then you don't have to use a tool. Sometimes they're really tight though, and you need to use a wrench. So we're gonna go ahead and just use our oil filter wrench. And get on it just like that. Pinch it, and then start rotating it. So once it starts rotating enough to where you can do it by hand, then put your drain pan underneath it. Again, be very careful while you're moving this. I have spilled this countless times. and it's not fun to clean up, and it always leaves a stain. Okay, so we got our drain pan right under our filter. We're gonna go ahead and slowly start loosening this filter by hand. So you can just crack it a little bit and then let all of the oil spill out. Once it stops dripping as fast, then you can just slowly back it off. And then be careful not to drop it once it does come all the way off, because it's really slippery. So just like that, we're gonna tilt it into our oil catch can and then just let it drip out. All right, now we're gonna put our used oil filter over here on this towel. So with our new oil filter, we're gonna wanna take our finger and just dip it in the oil. We're just gonna dip our finger and then just wipe it all the way around this gasket. Just like that. So this will lubricate it and give it a really good seal when you go to put it on. So here's where we pulled the filter off. When we put it back on, just make sure there's no gasket that's still around here. If there's a gasket on here and you put another one on with another gasket, it will spray everywhere and you will lose all of your engine oil. So just make sure this is a metal surface and it's nice and clean, and then we'll go ahead and screw the new filter on with the lubricated gasket. So at this point, I like to take my glove off because we're working with a clean filter that has no oil on it. So you can have a clean hand, not get oil on this filter so it's not mistaken for a leaking filter, and then just go ahead and screw it on. Again, just verify that there's no gasket from the old filter on there. So screw this all the way on and just do it hand tight. All right, so it is drained, it is torqued, the bolt right here, and then our oil filter is changed. Just make sure this is hand tight. Don't tighten it with the wrench because these do not need to be very tight. You can over tighten them, and if you do it too tight, you can either break the filter or you can make it leak up at the top with the gasket. And then very, very carefully pull your oil pan out. The biggest thing you want to do when pulling this out is just do it with a very smooth, gradual motion. If you jerk it and it jumps and scoots on the floor, it's going to bounce around and leak everywhere. So I just take the old filter and I set it right side up in the new packaging that we just got, and then we'll take this back to an automotive store where we can recycle it properly. So you always want to dispose of oil properly, and it's really not that hard. I keep a ton of milk gallons and just different jugs and stuff to keep used oil in. Just go ahead and pour it in any container. That's why it's also nice to have one of those, because you can pour it in there and just bring that wherever you need to get rid of it. The Walmart Auto Care Centers and O'Reilly's and AutoZone will all accept oil for you for free, so there's no excuse to dump it out anywhere else. All right, so we're done underneath. Go ahead and get your funnel. Make sure it's clean. If it's one that's used, make sure it's very clean and that there's no dust in it, because you don't want dust getting inside your engine. If it's brand new, then great. So go ahead and place your funnel in where you took the cap off, and then we're gonna go ahead and pour all of our oil in very slowly. Make sure to do this part carefully and slowly, because if you get oil on your engine or your exhaust or anything like that, it's gonna smoke and it's gonna stink really bad for a long time. So just be really careful not to spill oil anywhere. Also, when you're doing this part, don't be in a hurry. Just let it pour slowly. All right, so we poured both of those in. That's a total of 6 quarts. So we're gonna go ahead and replace the oil cap. All right, now before you check your oil level, make sure to get the car off the jack stands on level surface and then check the oil level. All right, so the car is now back on level ground. We're gonna go ahead and start the engine, let it run for 30 seconds, and we're gonna make sure that the oil pressure light does not come on. All right, so we're gonna start the car. And we're gonna make sure that we don't see an oil pressure light come on. Okay, so we're good. Now we're gonna go ahead and look under the car, make sure there's no leaking. I don't see any dripping at all, so I think we're good. Now just let the car run for about 30 seconds, just so it can get all circulated through the engine, and then we'll shut it off and let it settle. All right, it's been running for about 30 seconds, so we're gonna go ahead and shut it off. All right, now go ahead and let it sit for another 30 seconds so that the oil can all go to the bottom, and then we'll check the oil level again. All right, so it's been 30 seconds, so we're gonna go ahead and check our oil for the last time. Pull your dipstick out, clean it off, make sure it's completely dry. Stick it back in, all the way down, let it sit for at least a second or two, and then pull it back out. So
So we can see our oil level is right where it needs to be, right on that top line right here. So for reference, this bottom line to this line is 1 full quart. So if you're right here, you're exactly a quart low. If you're right here, you're right on the money full. And then anything over that, you filled it too much. So see where that level comes up to, and you want it to be right at the top line. All right, now you can go ahead and close your hood. We are all done. All right, so I'm gonna show you how to reset the oil life on this car. Every car is different, but I'll show you exactly how to do this one. So we're gonna turn it to accessory, and then right on this left side, we're gonna use this pad to go down to settings, and then press OK. Press OK one more time, and then we're gonna go down to vehicle, press right to go into it, and then we're gonna go all the way down to oil life reset. We're gonna press right to go into it, and I always set mine to 60% because that's roughly 5,000 miles for me, and I like to do it every 5,000 miles. You can go all the way up to 100% obviously, and then all the way down to 10%. So we're gonna set it to 60% and hold OK, and that will reset. Oil life set to 60%. So now we can go back over to information, and then press OK. Press system check, and oil life shows right there, 60%. So that is how you reset the life on this Ford, but most of the time it's under maintenance, or it's under car, vehicle, it's under settings somewhere. So every car is different. Most of the time for Chevys, all you'll do, turn your key to accessory, press your gas pedal all the way in and all the way out 3 times, and then turn your key off and back on, and that'll reset the oil life. If you are unsure how to do it, just look it up online, and I guarantee you that it'll be somewhere that'll tell you how to reset your oil life. All right, so there you have it. That's how you change your oil on a 2011 Ford Explorer. Generally, just follow what I said. You can do that on almost any car. Just be careful not to spill oil, and just be careful not to burn yourself when you're first draining that oil. It can be very, very hot. Make sure you lube your oil gasket on your filter before you reinstall it, and then just be careful while you're pouring it in. That's about it. So always be safe. Always make sure you're using jack stands, not just the jack to hold the car up. But other than that, that's about it. It's pretty simple, and it's something that you can save a ton of money doing yourself. If you like the video, leave it a like. If you want more videos like this, go ahead and let me know in the comments, and subscribe for a bunch of videos. As most of you know, I'm working on an MGA restoration right now, and it's going very well. So we have restorations lined up after the MGA too, so stay tuned and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys later.